Today on Short Fuse, we are going to be talking about leadership and technology's impact on leaders, whether we still need leaders anymore, whether they're inspirational, whether they're not, whether AI is going to do it for us. I'm Duncan Roberts, and I'm here with, who are you?
I'm Ollie O'Donoghue, Duncan
Nice.
Roberts.
Thanks very much. It's nice to be here with you again, Ollie. And should we just get straight into the votes? Like whether you're short or long on leadership, leaders, people.
Yeah,
What
because
are we talking about here? Are we talking about people or as a concept? I don't know.
human leaders. I
Human
think
leaders.
what we're voting on is whether or not we need human leaders anymore at
Okay.
all in a variety of different organisations. So think CEO or indeed the entire C-suite. They can all go.
But everybody's a C-suite now. Like you get a new thing comes along, and immediately there's just another. Oh, you need a C, whatever acronym O. Do you know what
There's
I mean?
an entire consulting industry designed for like just getting random people promoted in different layers of the. Are you a chief AI officer? Great, come on, man. You're allowed in the room now.
Which is Chow, isn't it? CAI. Is that how you spell Chow, or is there an extra I in there, isn't there?
Any Italian listeners, do write in with.
But there was a period where people were like, "You need a chief metaverse officer," and I'm like, "Oh, come off it, come on!" Like, a chief blockchain officer, come on.
I think it's big boardroom table. That kind of giant monopoly, they're the guys behind it. So the hawkers of giant oak tables for businesses. We've got a 20-seater now, which you'll need.
Big table,
big
tech
table,
and big
IKEA.
So, what do you think? Human leaders, yay or nay?
Nay. It's going to be controversial, isn't it? I'm sorry, LinkedIn, because everyone on LinkedIn's like a leader. We've talked about that before. There was one that was a dog, and it was like, oh, I chase squirrels, and then it changed it over into LinkedInisms, and they were chief squirrel officer, and they had loads of comments around, I successfully defended the garden from a squirrel.
Seriously, I've seen people I work with who they say they're a CMO or a CEO or a C whatever O, and I'm like, you just quite clearly aren't. It baffles me. Not everybody can be a C-suite, and not everybody wants to be.
Well, and maybe based on my vote, no one will be in the future.
Oh, wow.
So I genuinely think the value of leadership is under scrutiny with new AI capabilities. And I think actually it has been since the 90s. I think the emergence of computing technology, advances in analytics, advances in data, and how they are used to make decisions means that the skill set that C-suite leaders used to have, that thing they always talk about, like, think any business drama from the 80s where they're like, oh, I've been in this industry for 30 years, I live and breathe oil, and my gut tells me, and their gut's often right in the film. But you think how that's changed now that computing means that ERP systems are bubbling up information all the way to the top to the CEO, and really they've just got to kind of sign off on a decision.
Okay.
That sign off bit can now be handled adequately by AI, I would hazard. And I think there are a lot of pundits in the industry. Sam Altman, I think, is probably the most vocal about like a one-person unicorn type company. I suspect he's like, well, and that one person is the CEO.
But aren't you saying it's a 0-person unicorn?
No, so I think I think people will still exist underneath it, but I think decisions and orders will be pushed down from AI. And if you think about it deeply, they already are.
Yeah, but in that case, your single-person unicorn, that one person is like the worker, and the CEO is
an overworked coal miner who's just getting endless streams of AI orders. Like, more coal, please. You're doing a great job. You're a real,
But there is
winner.
that thing, isn't there? I'm going to give my vote in a minute, but there is that thing, and I think this will lead into my vote, actually. There is that thing that happened off the back of like OpenClaw and Maltbook that we discussed in last week's episode. There is that thing that now it's like Fiverr or those kind of freelancer websites, but for AI to hire humans to do jobs in the physical world they otherwise wouldn't do. And I think, meat space, meat bodies, slaves to do our AI overlords work. But actually, it's a bit of a misnomer. The person at the top is still a human who's created that bot to do a task that then to do that, to fulfill that task, they need a human to do it. So the AI bot is acting as an intermediary between humans. So the leader there is still a human.
Well, you've fallen into my trap, actually, Duncan, because
Right.
that's not the case for all companies. That's not the case for all companies. I found a couple of, there aren't that many.
Oh, here we go.
There are a couple of examples, Duncan.
I haven't even voted yet, and you're trapping me.
Oh, sorry.
Already.
Go on then.
No,
you vote.
me.
Sorry, no, because I need. Geez, I've given away my. I'd be a bad lawyer, wouldn't I? Arguing to the jury. I'd be like, here's my argument before you even go on. No, make your decision.
No, I'm not with you. I
stand with
disagree.
humanity.
Yeah,
sucker.
I stand with humanity, but not. At risk of sounding like a LinkedIn hourly poster, somebody who posts on LinkedIn all the time. I do think that humans are needed for several reasons. One is the standard kind of like leadership is not about just signing off some decisions. Leadership is a motivational quality and a quality that lends uniqueness to whoever they're leading. And I think it's that uniqueness that is important, because if everybody is run by AI and there's no human leadership at all, we'll all end up just doing the same things. And then there's no differentiation and there's no competitiveness. And there's no reason for any different companies. My point is that leaders, I think leaders do more than what AI can do. And if we deferred that to AI, I'm not disputing that AI can do it, because I think it could, but what it would lead to is something that is extremely bland and uninspiring and just not useful for consumers. I don't know whether consumers would then support that, which would then lead to a bigger market for human-led stuff, because it would appeal to them more. So I'm still pro humans.
Oh, that would make a lovely LinkedIn blog, Duncan. Really would. As a leader,
Duncan,
I think leaders are important.
CMEO of shortfuseresearch.com.
So I did a quick scan across all of the discussions out there, right? And there are 5 buckets that people say, hey, this is, C-suite executives, leaders will always be needed for these 5 things. And I only think one of them is compelling. And I will try and debunk the other 4 as much as I possibly can.
But what about my reasons there? To try and include
your reason is one of them. Your reason is one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so your reason is one of them. And
I'm
it's
so unoriginal.
Well, it's semi-convincing. Well, no, because they're big enough that you would statistically you would come up with at least one of these, right? So the first one is accountability. And I think that one actually won't change. So there are a lot of regulations right now.
You can't sue an AI bot, can you?
Yeah, Sarbanes-Oxley, for example, says no. We need a neck to choke effectively, and I wonder if it specifically says a human neck to choke, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't heavily implied.
But if it's then if there's no human involved within the company that you're choking, then and it's AI that does it, whose neck is it? Is it the AI model providers?
Right.
Neck?
Well, I mean, now you're getting into liability stuff, which stretches far beyond the purview of this podcast, Duncan.
Yes.
So I would urge you actually to stay
shut
on task.
I would urge you to shut up and move on.
God's sake, I haven't done any research on that topic, Duncan, so I prefer you didn't bring it up. Actually,
carry on.
Right, so now regulations could change, right? So that is conceivable, but that's one of the biggest ones. Is like, hey, you need a CEO. In the UK, there are director laws. You need a director, right, named in Companies House that, in theory, is accountable for everything and should know everything. And there's a good example of that, I think, in some of the prosecution that's happening around the post office scandal, which is a lot of the senior folks have pled ignorance. And actually, it's not considered an adequate defense, because they should know. You're a director of the organisation. Right. The second one is moral judgment. That comes up a lot, doesn't it? Like, CEOs know the right or wrong thing to do. Come on now,
doubt.
Come on, yeah, okay.
Let's move on from that one.
Luckily, no human-led scandals at all. Theranos was all fine. Enron didn't happen. We're all okay. Yeah. Right, so that one I just don't. I think there is an argument that AI might, be able to read an ethical and compliance training book and abide by it more strictly. Yeah, and abide by it strictly. There is. I mean, obviously, there's another part to the moral quandary that's just like, I guess perceptions of morality change over time, and humans live within that. But I don't buy it at all. I think AI could do it adequately, and actually, a lot of the policing systems to stop people doing immoral things are AI, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, you've got some strange activity going on here, so we're gonna
Fraud
investigate you.
detection, stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that stuff. But also internally, so from like compliance reasons and bits pieces like
Mm.
that. The second one is empathy.
Third
And I've
one.
got one. A third one, sorry. The third one is empathy. Comes up a lot. I find that really tedious.
Yeah, me too.
Especially, and bearing in mind,
I don't know any. Gosh, I've got to be careful here, but I don't think.
yeah,
I
exactly. You
don't
do
think. I don't think CEO's job is necessarily to be empathetic with every individual member of staff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, most aren't, are they? By definition, they can't be. It's very
they
difficult.
can't. It's impossible.
Well, and here's one thing I would say, Duncan. And bear in mind, you have to remember that this is your team. You're supporting human CEOs. Some research shows 1 in 5 are psychopaths. Highest concentration of psychopathy.
I'm not necessarily supporting the existing
You are.
psychopaths.
You are massively.
That's not what I said. Well, maybe it is what I said, but I'm changing what I said. In that, I'm saying I support the idea of human leaders, not necessarily the human leaders that we have right now.
I support the 4 out of 5 CEOs.
Carry on.
The others can
Number
go.
4,
Right,
was
so-
it?
so
Keep going.
Yeah, number 4. Thank you for keeping check. Number 4. This is your one. So intuition, and I guess this is where you get kind of like visionaries like Steve Jobs coming up with something completely new, right? And understanding the market, understanding the world around them. That has dissipated.
That dissipated.
Yeah, dissipated. If you think about the 80s, a good CEO, and there's loads of documentation on how what makes a good CEO and what makes a company successful based on CEO activities. Intuition in the 80s was number one. So being able to get the calls right and that gut feel, because it's all you had, right? You didn't, access to data.
Yeah, but I think I'm arguing something slightly different.
Well, I will get to that. We'll get to
Okay.
that, right? But I think you get bucketed up under here, where you might be able to sense things in the market. You will be bucketed up under here, Duncan. With the rest
5.
of your kind. With your kind. Well, just on the intuition point, what I've started mapping, and I think we'll put something up on shortfuseresearch.com. Quick plug to the website. Do join us on shortfuseresearch.com. Is how that has devalued over time. And you can see it in things like tasks, databases like ONA, actually, kind of gut feel, barely represented at all. But it was what made a good CEO in the 80s, because it's all you had. And then new technologies coming in like mainframe systems, access to data, gut feel became very out of vogue. And actually, I think in an annual report, if you're a CEO today and you said, oh, my gut tells me we're going to go after this, God, your stock would have a hard time.
You'd be laughed out of the room, because, like, famously, Jeff Bezos, right? He's just completely data driven. Everything is about data. And if everything is about data, then sure, AI is going to be better at interpreting that than a human. And there's no judgment calls to make, because you're just following what the data says to you.
Well, so exactly. And this to me is where the erosion of the last remaining bit of what makes the C-suite special, which is the decision making, has gone. Like,
but
that,
I
that
think we're missing a fundamental point here.
Well, perhaps that's number 5.
Oh,
perhaps that's
do.
number 5.
Please
Duncan.
do go
Let's
ahead.
Let's find out. That's number 5. Inspiration. So that's the 5th bucket.
It might be. It might be.
I think this is what you're alluding to. So I think your inspiration and intuition are where you've spent most of your time in your argument, and I think it was a compelling argument. It hasn't convinced me,
because I need it. I need inspiration. I need, what was the other one?
Intuition. You do need that.
I don't know. I do need that. But carry on. Why is inspiration important?
Inspiration is the 5th one, where there is a huge amount of value attached to CEOs being figureheads of an organization, much like you've said, where they can, carry the organization with them, inspire people to do great things, I guess like military leaders on horseback. My argument for that is that's not actually the persona of most CEOs.
No,
we as a society highlight the really good guys, and we talk about them. It's like, oh, what a great CEO.
We highlight who we think are the really good guys, and then they turn out to be something else. But yeah,
well, that's like Times Person of the Year, isn't it? You're I think statistically, someone who is named Times Person of the Year is also likely to be imprisoned by like an above average amount within 2 or 3 years' time of being named.
Yeah,
for skullduggery and all sorts of mischief.
But so I agree with you on all of those things. I think inspiration is important from a leader perspective. And we're talking about CEOs not government leaders and politics. And I mean, there's very little inspirational characters in global politics at the moment, and maybe that's not something we should necessarily get into. But I do think that there's something that is missing here, which is like the direction of the company as a whole. Like where leaders, well, it's two things actually. We're talking about the very top leadership. So like, what's your company doing? Like, and is it a new company? Are you the leader because it's a company that you've set up to do something new? Who is deciding what those pivots are, what those big bets are that you're making, that this company is going to do this and it's going to make a difference, and it's going to either return, value to shareholders because that's what you're
God
aiming
willing.
to do. Gosh, I hope that at least we've returned some value to shareholders. Or, we're going to do some good because I'm the CEO of a charity, or I'm a CEO of a private company and I just want to do this cool thing and make loads of money for myself and whoever owns this company. I think there are a variety of things that I think there's one aspect of that that's not covered in that list of 5, which is direction, like pure direction from we want to change things or do something completely new. Maybe call it direction or innovation or something, which is there are examples of companies that have famously pivoted, and there's examples of new startups popping up all over the place that do something that changes the way society works. And I think that takes a strong leader, a strong human leader to do. And I don't know whether AI can do that yet.
So my counter argument to that
You're not allowed.
is
You just spent ages going over 5 things. I said 1.
endless counter arguments. Yeah, but I've got pages of this stuff, Duncan.
Go.
Pages.
Tell me.
It's like a game of chess where I'm just trying to get rid of all leadership teams.
Right, go. Yeah.
The shadow encroachment of AI analytics and data into everything that you've just mentioned. So how much of, let's just think about an incumbent organization that's a big organization, the biggest producer of plant pots, right? Globally,
Right.
massive company, huge monopoly. It's a real winner. And they decide, well, hey, these materials are pretty much the same as other materials. Let's do this other product. We'll do toilets because they're similar factory. How much of that decision making?
Right, yeah.
So I'm really struggling here with this
I was
analogy.
going to say they're both pots
terracotta toilets, Duncan.
Terracotta toilets.
We're in the compost industry, so it stands to reason.
Yeah. Anyway,
how much of that due diligence and planning and strategy and understanding the market would just be a human-led activity, right? So I'm thinking of everything that builds up to that decision.
I'm not saying it's that due diligence. It's the decision to pivot in the first place from plant pots to toilets. How did we get here?
By design, Duncan. By design.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's the company that starts something that there isn't a pivot from plant pots to toilets. It's the person who created the toilet. It's the Thomas Crapper. Maybe Thomas Crapper didn't actually invent toilets, isn't that? That's true, isn't it? But
well, he did, but famously AI wasn't around then.
But would AI have invented the toilet if it was around back then?
I would hazard a guess that if you said to AI, look, there's all of this stuff in the street and it's horrible. And I have no idea. And we've got these, normally you throw it into a river, but it'd be great if there was like a river in our houses.
It would have taken a human to go, I want to solve this problem and I'm going to use AI to do it. So the analogy I was thinking at this morning.
So that's innovation, not necessarily leadership, by the way. So I think what I'm thinking of is the upper echelons of G2000 companies.
Right,
I now get where you're going.
We're coming from a different kind of position on this. You're coming from a like pencil pusher leadership, like literally steering a company.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah, and I'm coming at it from like a innovation, inspiration, leadership and stuff. And I think there's room for both. But I do think because almost middle management are still leaders in a way. They're just leaders of smaller teams that make up part of a bigger team. And famously, AI is, culling middle management left, right, and center. And people are culling middle management to get flatter organizations way before AI came around,
Right.
because they realized that they didn't actually need those leaders. In some cases you do, though, because other humans need other humans to kind of look for direction. And it depends if we're moving towards a fully AI, uh, a workforce that's fully made up of AI. Yeah, sure, AI can lead it. If there are some humans, though, you're going to need some sort of human figurehead, even if that is just a Wizard of Oz style, and behind the curtain it's just AI, and that person's just going, "Oh, what should I do with this? What should I do with that?" It depends on the makeup of the company, and I still don't believe that you will get companies that are fully, like, even a one-person company. I think AI is good, and I think it will remove some jobs and it will create new jobs and all of that, standard talking points. I just can't see it removing enough jobs and enough companies that AI CEOs will be enough at the moment.
I think in a lot of organizations today, your Wizard of Oz analogy is actually what's going on.
Mm.
To a significant extent, and a reason for removing a lot of the middle layers in a company was because of the better communication technologies and the better systems management, and that you didn't need people to manage distinct buckets of work and get communications rolled out to them on a week by week basis. You can now send an email and it's all sorted. And there's a philosophical question I'll ask you now, Duncan.
I was going to ask you a question.
Will you ask me one first?
No, you asked me first because you
philosophical.
said it.
It
You
better
said
be
it first.
deeply philosophical.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Carry on.
I want to do Trigger's broom. That's the philosophical one, isn't it? What's the real? Is it Theseus's ship or something like that?
The ship of Theseus. Like, is it,
Yeah.
if you replace all the boards over time, is it still the same ship?
Yeah, that's a set. We'll do that one. But it's Trigger's broom in the UK. It's called, isn't it? Because he keeps swapping the handle.
Trigger's broom. Swapping the handle.
I've had 10 new brushes and 5 new handles.
Yeah.
Broom's been with me for years.
Yeah.
So philosophical question. You're in the middle layer of a standard G2000 organization. Let's say 200,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you know that the email you've received was from your CEO or was sent on behalf of your CEO via AI?
That's not a philosophical question. That's just, I wouldn't know because I've never met the CEO and I've never.
Right.
And it could be just a fake, name. Actually, it's Mr. Arnold Innersbrook, Mr. AI.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking of just like an improbable, like CEO Keith or something like that.
Yeah. No, I don't think you would know. And I think a lot of the direction that you get in your work is not from the CEO. It's that they're acting just as a figurehead, and you don't. Like, I spoke to somebody the other day who was working for a company. He didn't know who any of his leadership, actually didn't even know their names.
I feel like you're proving my point so well here, Duncan.
I am proving a point. Proving a point.
Some quick stats.
But I think we're coming at it. I think we're disagreeing on what leadership means.
Right, fine. I'm once again, it's the bureaucrats. It's the people who are running G2000 companies, the most influential leadership teams on the planet.
Here's my question for you. First off, we have to remember that CEOs are not necessarily the only leaders within a company. You also have the board of directors, and you have like the other members of the C-suite, right? Like, so maybe the board of directors directing an AI CEO of a company, maybe they would be human. I don't know. Board of directors are even more obfuscated from your average day-to-day employee than the CEO is. But here's my question for you. Would you feel motivated to do your work if your boss, not your CEO, your boss, the person telling you to do the work, was not a human?
Yeah, because AI it would know I was slacking. Humans, you can dupe. You could be like, I'm
so
a bit
you'd be
ill.
happy with that?
I'm not saying I'd be happy. I'd be motivated to not lose my job because it would be like, well, I know you're not sick.
Yeah.
And I know you've been watching SAS Rogue Heroes all morning. get on with it, right? Whereas a human boss would have no idea, or some would, I guess, if you were doing it in the office. But I'd be massively motivated if I wanted to keep that job.
Okay. I keep coming back to this. I was thinking about this earlier on today when we were going to do this podcast, and I was thinking about vibe coding, and the one of the 5 that you got in there was like, was it intuition?
Yes. Yeah.
And the vibe. Where does the vibe come from? Can AI do the vibes? Because vibe coding, the vibe comes from the human, and the coding comes from the AI, and it's like it's the vibe of a company, and almost like rather than decisions, it's like taste. If that makes sense. This is a really weird analogy, but like if you've got bad taste as a leader, then your company will fail. If you've got good taste, good taste in suppliers, employees, other members of the C-suite. Have you got good taste in what's hot in your industry now? And does AI have taste? Does it have the vibes for good taste? Do you know what I mean?
I do, and it's so that what's interesting there is that if that thesis is correct, gut in the C-suite once again becomes the commodity, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
rather than data, like the gut to be able to say like, to turn this plant pot factory into a toilet factory for God's sake, or we're going to miss out on this boom.
Gut is a differentiator, and I think that going back to my original point, and you're backing up my point here, is you need a differentiator of gut, and I hate that we're talking about toilets and
gut
guts again. I don't know how we manage it. But it is that gut, the vibe, the taste to go in the right direction that I don't think AI has very good taste. I think if you get AI somebody said to me once, AI is really funny. Ask it to tell you a joke. I asked it to tell me a joke. The joke was terrible. They were not funny at all. Maybe that's because I've got a weird sense of humor, but like that taste, that gut, that vibe, I can't believe I'm saying these words and I sound like a human LinkedIn post. I just don't think AI can do.
Perhaps.
Ooh,
I think it's getting better.
Is that a slight? Are you coming around?
I think
You're giving in.
I think a lot of humans also can't do it. I have to say,
but that's why not everybody is a leader, and that's why LinkedIn is so annoying. Because if you look at LinkedIn, like they talk about Instagram being bad for your mental health because it looks like everybody's got this perfect lifestyle. LinkedIn is bad for your health because you look at everybody and they're like a leader of something. And you're like, well, I'm just sitting in my home office, like chuntering away.
Podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a leader of anything. Like even the podcast I have to share with you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And I think in many ways we co-lead this so that like neither of us can do a speech or anything. We have to do it at the same time.
But do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, sure, plenty of humans can't do that, but that's why leaders are leaders.
I suppose. Now, the leaders that do exist.
Are you making a concession?
Not at all. Not even remotely. Because I think a lot can't. And I think a lot of the most successful CEOs are managers more than leaders. So they know how to manage, right? And they use technology to help them do that. And actually, when we look at, aside from the few visionaries, who are just like, hey, I've invented a new product class completely. Most of them are just, hey, I can chaperone this company from 1% growth to 2% growth year on year, right? And they would use technology to help them do so. And they're generally considered good CEOs. And I think AI could probably make the same logical conclusions, if not better logical conclusions. But back to one of the ones where CEOs do remain, to your point, on white chargers, rallying the troops to dig more coal or whatever it is. There's some data that shows this shadow, and this is the bit that I think is more interesting, is the shadow encroachment of AI into decisions. Actually, we've seen it from the 90s, again, as data, analytics have kind of moved in to replace gut. AI is now being moved in to replace a couple of big things. We can see this in the Anthropic usage data and ChatGPT's usage data, which is senior people using it to make what they call high-value business decisions.
So this is an analogy.
A lot of compute required.
This is analogous to your dating example, where if you had a dating platform that was like no AI allowed, you still couldn't stop people from using a separate AI platform telling them what to say.
Exactly.
And here you're saying, if you had no AI allowed in this organization, you still might get C-suites going, I'm making this decision because I'm using my gut, and actually they're going, oh, ChatGPT, tell me what to say.
And why? But why wouldn't they? Right? You know,
Yeah.
if anything, our entire business culture since the 90s has been use as much data as you possibly can to make a decision. In fact, actually, we would judge you negatively if you said, "No, I know this market really well." It reminds me of the film There Will Be Blood, where his big speech is, "Well, I'm an oil man. I've been an oil man my entire life. My son's an oil man," and everyone's just like, "Yeah, great. That's exactly what we need." That wouldn't wash at all today. It'd be like,
No.
right, data has shown us this is a great big oil deposit and its market value is the following. And as a result, we're going to sink a well here. And then the stock price might go up. What shows this encroachment a little bit more is another data set. So the Anthropic and ChatGPT data set say two things, right? So pretty serious decision making, to your point. So they might be passing it off as their own. I actually think the incentive these days is to say, no, I do use a ton of AI to come to this decision, right? You know, it's really important for us.
At the moment.
Sure. You raise an interesting point. It's the same with writing, where people are now making mistakes. And I wonder if CEOs will start making mistakes, be like, hey, but that's just the authenticity of a human decision.
I'm making this stock plummeting decision because I'm a human.
we may be bankrupt, but you know I was an authentic leader, do you not?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the second one is communication to employees, right? So your inspiration and your morale and your motivation piece is also slowly being encroached by AI. And actually, I've seen quite a few examples around the Christmas period. I think it was on LinkedIn. There are a few on Twitter as well. People were screenshotting advice they were getting from their internal HR teams and learning and development teams that were just like, hey, feel free to use ChatGPT to write a morale-boosting Christmas message to all of your team.
Yeah.
People were using it. You'd get this kind of like, you've done a great job this year, insert employee's name here.
Yeah,
right, so
there was a Google advert, wasn't there, that was like, write a letter to your daughter using Google Gemini. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You have no human to human feelings. So use AI to abstract those from the masses of the internet.
But I can't see it. I can't see. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, if you can't see it, they are on average.
Yeah.
CEOs in G2000 companies using 7 hours a week to use AI to do tasks like sending communications to employees, right? And there's a piece of research that came out, I think, a couple of days ago. It's talking about burnout, and of employees, and if you trace that burnout back, it's because instead of a message being like from the CEO, "Hey guys, earn some more money for God's sake, revenues are down. Let's get going on this one." They're getting really lengthy AI constructed memos that are impossible to kind of get through at the pace they're coming out, and it's because senior managers right up to the C-suite are using AI to deliver comms.
And here you go. Here's my point that I've suddenly got my train of thought back, which is homogeny. And I mentioned that right at the beginning. I just think you are going to end up with these homogenous companies. Like you see it, like the writing style across LinkedIn posts that have been used to have had AI write the post for them. They're all the same. And they're not even making original points because people don't realize that AI can't really do original thinking. So they're just saying, write a post for me on LinkedIn about this. And it's all very surface level and it's all saying the same thing. And all the posts on LinkedIn are like saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And people just disengage from it. So if
the comments are the worst, though. The comments are even worse.
And we've discussed this on a previous podcast where it's like, you just turn off. And I think if you have AI-led companies, gosh, you're just going to end up with the same thing over and over and over again. And it's going to be so uninspiring. I don't think homogeny will... I don't think capitalism rewards homogeny because it needs that differentiation and competitiveness to survive. So I'm not sure it will work.
It's a good point. I'm trying to think I think capitalism does reward homogeny at scale. Let's come back to that one.
But you need competition. You need competition. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so what tends to happen
capitalism today is we're getting into the thorny
speech time, baby.
Thorny topics, but around whether market capture is true capitalism or not. And we could go on for a long time about that. But yeah, will the systems in place at the moment reward homogenous companies that all do the same thing. Surely there has to be some differentiation to have competitiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I dispute that AI couldn't. We're talking about losers on LinkedIn. What my dog taught me about, finance.
Sure.
Speeches. But I think at an organization scale where it has access to the data that has been built up over hundreds of years, like an insurance company that's been around since the Civil War, for example.
That's been determined by humans.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, I just think it's a bit like,
I
everything
see
goes
what
up in
you
the air and
mean.
then settles.
So there's nothing new because no new data comes in. It's
Yeah.
like casting forward hundreds of years almost.
Yeah.
The competitive differentiation's been grounded out of the market completely because,
Yeah.
well, that's a Philip K. Dick book.
I know. Maybe we
so-
should go into science fiction. But yeah, I don't know.
I have some, I think some examples now to throw in your direction, Duncan, because you said right at the start, and this is where I interrupted you before you made your bet, to which, I do apologize deeply. There are organizations that do have AI as CEOs. They do exist, right?
All right.
There aren't that many.
Okay.
And I would just like to get your opinion on what you think about these. Right?
And then
So
we'll
there's
vote again, and then we'll see how
Yeah,
I've
I think
changed
this-
your mind.
Not to, or
This is
vice
your
versa.
This is your final chance to change my mind.
This is my final
Ollie.
to swing it. I think, unfortunately, this would swing it into my direction. So there's a rum company called Dictador that has Mika, the AI CEO.
Rum. So that was too many syllables all at one time.
A rum company.
A company that makes rum.
Well, I think it actually just looks after investment rum.
What is investment rum?
In the same, so you can buy, you can buy kegs of whiskey that are really,
right,
really old.
okay, I see.
Value.
I see. Right.
So I think
it's just as a commodity.
Yeah, I don't think they produce rum.
Oh, okay.
Now they have a
the idea
CEO
of
called
investment rum.
Investment rum. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
We're looking at ways to fund this project that we've got going on here. So if you want to buy some of mine and Duncan's rum,
yeah, I got a big batch of kombucha brewing. So if anybody wants some investment kombucha,
and everyone knows kombucha, if you leave it for ages and ages and ages and ages, it gets better. It's better for you. There's so much bacteria in it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
One big
amazing
blob of bacteria. Anyway, sorry.
Now, to give you an idea about Mika, the CEO, it's very difficult in both these examples to see results, right? So to see whether or not the company's doing better. You'll be pleased to know it's a humanoid robot.
Oh, yeah, come on. Come on.
And in this is one of the only examples I have. They're quick to say, "Oh, it's not really allowed to make important decisions."
Yeah, and who created it?
Oh, I think Hanson Robotics, something like that. Someone like
who's
that.
in charge of Hanson Robotics?
I've no idea.
Well,
I don't know them. I don't know them personally, Duncan.
Right. Okay. Right. I mean, you've
they
put me off with. Sorry, carry on.
I thought the second you hear humanoid robot, you're like, right, for God's sake, ridiculous.
Yeah. What does Mika do? Tell me what Mika does.
Analyze consumer behavior, optimize marketing strategies, enhance customer engagement, drives innovation, thank God. So collaborates with designers, artists, and industry experts to push the boundaries of luxury spirits and artistic
But that's not a leader. That's just somebody who has a job. It's just doing some tasks.
Oh, now, come on. You're being very harsh to Mika here.
Okay.
The good news is Mika also makes data-driven decisions. Unlike human CEOs who rely on instincts and experience, that's true.
Yeah.
Mika based their strategies on hard data and predictive analytics, minimizing risk. Yeah.
Oh,
Mika.
I missed.
Oh, you thought Mika the singer?
Yeah. Well, Mika is also a male. Well, I just misgendered. Apologies.
Yeah. Well, yes. Sorry, Dictador and Mika. Minimizing risk and maximum efficiency with those data-driven decisions, though, which as we all know, human leaders don't do.
Mika has a lot of remit.
A huge amount of remit, but like I say,
you can imagine, a CEO doesn't do all those tasks that Mika does.
No.
And why does Mika need to be a humanoid robot to do that?
That's the bit that doesn't make sense to me. Is what benefit you get from the humanoid part, right?
What does Mika look like? Do you
I'll
have
send
a
you a picture.
Of Mika?
Do you want me to? Yeah,
We'll pop
I'll
up
send
a
you
picture of Mika. Yeah.
It's as you would expect.
And we'll put a link for audio listeners. We'll put a link to a picture of Mika in the description.
There is another company which is NetDragon Websoft, who's
That's also a bunch of syllables again that don't mean anything. What?
NetDragon Websoft? Come on, Duncan. It says they build fishing nets, dragons,
and soft
other things. Yeah,
things,
soft cheeses.
Right, carry on.
So they announced the appointment of their new rotating CEO, Ms. Tang Yu, an AI-powered virtual, you guessed it, humanoid robot.
Another humanoid robot.
Humanoid robot.
Why do these things need to be embodied?
Who can say?
The least important thing about a leader is that they have feet and thumbs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. It needs to be able to walk around the factory floor and rough up the workers if they're not putting the productivity in. I want to read a sentence from this, but I need to find it because it is very, very funny just how they have described it.
What does this company do again? NetDragon Websoft?
Communications is what it's internet. It builds internet communities.
Okay.
So big business, Duncan.
Right.
Big business.
Does that mean bot farms?
I wonder if it does. Yeah, I wonder if it does. Manufactured internet communities, Duncan.
Yeah, bot farms.
What's not romantic and enjoyable about that?
In which case, let alone it's a bot farm, why would you need a humanoid robot to manage a bot farm? Anyway.
I say, to wander around giving the bot workers a hard time. It needs to be humanoids.
They don't have bodies.
Oh, but Duncan, if an algorithm, if software was to say to other software, "I'll pull your plug out if you're not careful," you don't buy it, do you? Well, this thing's got hands.
Yeah.
Right, I'm switching all the servers off. You're not careful. No, please don't.
It uses its clumsy hands to try and pull the plug out. Anyway,
I'm trying to find this. I can't find this really funny sentence. Well, maybe it wasn't even that funny, but I just find the concept of both of these, the only two examples, both announcing, by the way, the first CEO of an organization at the same time, that they have to be humanoid.
Yeah.
They have to be, and then what they describe in all cases are what AI embedded into things like ERP systems, Salesforce, ServiceNow do anyway.
Yeah, which is not a leader's job. And remember, we're talking about a leader, not just a CEO.
Well, so this is where this is philosophy here, isn't it? Because then what we're really describing is whether or not the CEO acting on the advice of AI holds as much value as AI acting on the advice of AI.
Or AI acting on advice of a leader.
That's also AI.
A human leader. I've confused myself now.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's been one of those episodes, hasn't it?
It has a bit. Have you convinced yourself that you're wrong?
No, not at all.
Because it sounded like you did at the end there.
No, I don't know, not at all. I think these two examples aside, which is just ridiculous. But you know, what's ridiculous about them isn't the concept that you could have an AI CEO, because like I said, I think in most companies you sort of do. It's like a co-CEO to varying extents. I just don't think it's that fanciful. The part I find fanciful is there had to be a humanoid. The rest of the C-suite couldn't conceive of, it has to be physically in the boardroom with us. Otherwise it's not real. It can't be real. It couldn't just be a laptop pointing towards, the rest of the room or something that. That I think is crazy. But the idea that you don't necessarily need a human to fulfill a CEO's role, particularly in large companies.
Leader's role, Ollie.
Well, you can't get more leadery than the CEO. Can you? Name, since the days of the Battle of Waterloo, Duncan,
Henry
it's just CEOs,
V.
really.
Henry V.
Well, exactly. I mean, there were other leaders like that. Fair enough. Do I think we need men in shiny armor on horseback rallying the troops while we invade France? I also don't think we need that anymore, Duncan.
Well, no, you're quite right there. But no, I'm still retaining my bet, which is that I think leaders is slightly different, and I think it's a quality that AI can't reproduce. And I don't think it necessarily will be able to. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out maybe in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Maybe
it will happen and I will be proven wrong, but then in 100 years' time that homogeny will happen and I will be proven right, and I'll get it inscribed on my gravestone. I was right about AI
Do
leaders.
you think you'll be that influential by now that people, if they're kind of digging out of their where the only company that supplies food inexplicably starts building plant pots and toilet bowls, and everyone's starving, but like, well, Duncan was right. All we have now is plant pots and toilet bowls. That's all there is.
Well, on that note, I think we will leave it there. Good one. Maybe we'll come back to this another time and think about if anything new comes out.
Do write in. Do write in,
yes.
everyone. I almost certainly won't get a response from me, but Duncan will reply.
I'll respond. I like to respond. I like to respond to the comments and see what people think. So yeah, please write to me. Nobody else does.
Yeah. I respond to them on paper and then post them to Duncan.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time. See you later. Bye.